Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Opinion or Opportunity. I am your host, Don Gringo. So welcome back. Today we're going to talk politics. It's Inauguration Day, so what else are we going to talk about today? But I have a different opinion, and you need to stick around. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Okay, Inauguration Day. Let me give you my opinion here. So if you watch any of my previous videos, everyone knows here I consider myself an independent. I don't like either party. I think neither party has done well for us, and I'm gonna prove it today. We're gonna go through this, and it's gonna be quite funny. The Democrats like to legislate the crap out of everything, and the Republicans are complicit, right? I mean, let's face it. We're not a freer country. And listening to Biden today and his more perfect union, and he wants unity, but he has enough Americans. Listen to his speech. He says enough of us to move his agenda forward. And that's what politics is, right? Enough of the people, enough of the House and Senate to move their agenda forward. And that's really what it comes down to, right? And if you think otherwise, I'm going to prove you wrong here. So don't go away. Don't move. So I just want to go over what a pompous pile of bull crap this speech was. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Every time a president comes in, it's a pompous pile of bull crap. Manufacturing truth. They're both guilty of it. Biden's been in office for 47 years. Now, by the time he's done being president, if he only does one term, he's going to be president for over politics for half a century. Things aren't better. And I'm going to prove it to you. So stick around. Ready? Here we go. So let's get into it. I'm going to go over first thing, right? First thing. And here we are. Let me move myself. Right? Let's move myself. And I don't want you to think I'm hiding anything. So let's get into this. So the question up top that I asked Google, is the U.S. the freest country in the world? That's what I asked. And if you come down here right in the center of your screen, the Freedom in the World 2020 report produced by Freedom House ranked United States 53rd among 84 countries described as free. Okay, so here we go. That's that report. Let's go down further though, right? So right here on another report, it says the U.S., and of course this is 2018. I mean, this is Google, liberal, right? Liberal Google, who's getting rid of and silencing people, which, by the way, I don't care. I have my own website. And if they take me down, I don't make a penny anyway. You can follow me on my website. I don't care. So here it states that it's actually 43rd in the world out of 180 countries. So I don't care how you want to slice it. U.S. is not the freest country in the world. We are not the beacon of democracy that the politicians like to feed us. And it's their fault, right? It's their fault. And the funny thing here is, ready? Watch this one. Up top, right, it says, when was the last time America was the freest country? And Google can't tell you. Google can't tell you when the last time we were the freest country in the world, where we have more personal freedoms than anybody else. Google can't tell you. That says something, right? So, what about economic freedom, right? We're the beacon of democracy, so we must have the best economic freedoms in the world. No, here we go, Cato Institute, and of course they take a few factors into it across all civilized countries, blah, blah, blah. The United States has slipped, okay, to the 6th place, and after the ranking of 5th in 2018. So in 2 years, we slipped a spot. So I don't know what to tell you there. And a matter of fact, the funny thing here is, let me see if we can find that one. When was the last time America was right ranked number one in economic freedom, right? And let's see what they tell us. No, not finding that either. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny where we can't even find out, and we're supposed to be this big, wonderful beacon of patriotism and democracy around the world for all of the nations, and we can't even figure out when was the last time we were number one in economic freedom. So Google can't tell us, and they're like the number one search engine in the world, right? Where everyone goes. Can't tell you when the last time you were the freest as far as personal freedoms. Can't tell you the last time you were freest for economic freedoms. That's a problem. But you know, it's the U.S., so we got to be free. No, number one in something, right? What about education? Education. The U.S. was once leader in healthcare and education. Now it ranks 27th in the world. Now, we're not even number one in education. Now, here's the funny thing. It was a significant decline from number 6 back in 1990. So 31 years ago, we were still only 6th place in the world. For some of you, you weren't even born yet, and you still weren't number one. But this is the problem, not of Democrats, not of Republicans. They're both doing you dirty. They're doing me dirty. They're doing your neighbor dirty. They're doing your family dirty. These people are just rotten to the core, because when you listen to Biden's speech, not at any point did he use the phrase or word freedom. Okay, our country is not becoming more free. The government does not give up power. It never has. It never will. I cannot remember a time when we became more free from a prior administration. More free. And I'm not talking by an executive order and taking some different regulations in order for businesses to do better. I'm actually talking freedom. Things you can do that you couldn't do before, that you used to be able to do. Can't remember it. And I doubt you can too. And if you can do it, send me an example. And I'll tell you you're right. What about in healthcare, right? So U.S., we were so prideful of our healthcare. Where do we stand? U.S. ranks 27th in the world for levels of healthcare and education. That is just crazy. But here's the problem with that, right? We don't have the same type of system. How are you going to rank it? We don't have the same type of system as everybody else. So that one's like up for debate. I'm going to give it that. It's up for debate. Let me see here. Oh, this is the best part. Ready? Watch this. This right here is for innovation, right? United States is third. Third. We're not even first there. So we don't have the best education system, far from it. We don't have the best healthcare system, far from it, right? We don't have the most economic freedom in the world, far, far from it. And we don't have the most personal freedoms in the world, far more far from it. So what the hell are we good at? And you have to ask yourself this, because both parties have done this to us. It's not just one. Biden has been in office for 47 years, almost half a century, and he's hardly done anything. His biggest claim to fame is a crime bill outside him being vice president under Obama. Don't tell me this country's getting better. I'm not saying Trump was the best. That goddamn guy could sign bills and spend money and crank up the deficit better than most. I'm the first person to say it. I don't like the way he talked. You know, I'm not a fan of regulating free speech, but the president probably shouldn't be on Twitter. No president should be. No politician should be. But it's just my opinion. So we're not number one in innovation. So we've got to be good at number one at something, right? Sure. And I said it in all my previous videos. We're number one for world pocketbook. That's what we are. That's why every nation, we got to give money to every nation. Think of all the stimulus you've gotten this year. If you watch the videos so far this year, think of all the stimulus that's been put out this year. The U.S. could have made every single American a millionaire. Did you get $1 million? Did I get $1 million? Or did that $1 million go back to big business and the wealthy? Biden wants to talk about, building back the middle class. He's increasing taxes. He's already said he is. There goes your goddamn middle class. See, this is the double standard, goddamn two-faced lies that they do to us. And you all just turn around and swallow the pill. And I don't feel bad for anybody. And half of it is because this is an ideology problem. You guys are just too goddamn nosy and will care about what happens in everybody else's houses, properties, and things of that nature. So we got to legislate the shit out of everything because you need control of somebody else. Why don't you worry about your own four walls? I know mine's not perfect, and I'm probably sure if I dug into your life, neither is yours. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we don't focus enough on ourselves, our household, making us better, instead of worrying about what other people have and what other people are doing. Outside of your politicians who are supposed to be working for you, and Biden is not working for you. I don't care what you want to say. So we're number one in pocketbook because guess what? Everyone sells their shit here. We all buy their stuff. Okay. And yeah, we give a ton of money away to other countries. So you could have been a millionaire this year. I could have been a millionaire this year, right? Other people could have gotten an extra $1 million a year. Whatever way you want to look at it, you didn't get it. You settled for stimulus checks of $1,000, $14,000, $2,000, whatever. Because I'm telling you, I didn't take one. Now, some people needed it, and I get that. But you could have had $1 million. For all this huffing and puffing of everything that was done, you could have had $1 million. Do you have $1 million? No, because you're too stupid to figure out that these politicians are doing us all dirty. And you vote the same people back in. So what else are we number one in? Military, right? So we have the biggest military and the biggest pocketbook. That's the only reason why the people in the world think we're number one. That's the only why we can give that false illusion, is because we pay countries a ton of money. And we're going to give a lot of free shit away. And guess what? It doesn't come out of those countries because they're receiving it. We're paying it. Our children's paying it. Their grandchildren are going to pay it. You name it, it's all on us. The only thing good about Trump's whole stance was America first. And I don't care what you want to say. I said it in previous videos, and I'm going to say it again. Other countries are going to take care of their citizens first before they worry about someone else. Not us, right? Not us. We got a homeless problem, right? Look at California, for God's sakes, right? Really bad homeless problem. We have a veteran homeless problem. I'm a vet, right? So, what about the people there who actually served? Because a large portion of our population hasn't served. But these people, whether they did it because they needed to get away from their situations in life, to have a chance for an opportunity in life, whatever way you want to look at it, they fell on hard times, and they deserve a handout. And Biden sits here and says, 400,000 people have died from the virus. Well, when you were vice president and overseeing the VA, and I said this in the previous video, over 300,000 people died unnecessarily. Veterans, by the way, veterans that served this country needlessly, because the VA system was so goddamn broken under the 8 years of Obama with Biden running the VA. But we don't want to talk about that. Politics is a sham. We cannot buy it no more. The system is rigged. Yes, there was some evidence of voter fraud. I'm not going to say there wasn't. Now, I'm not going to say it was mass and systemic because I can't say it was or prove it. And I'm not sure if I honestly believe that. But we both have seen videos, and yeah, some of them are legit. This whole problem, and I said it before and I'll say it again, is because the Supreme Court did not take up any of the cases and just settle the situation. So Biden's going to pass his executive orders today. He's going to go goddamn crazy and let him do it, I guess, because there's nothing we can do. He wants to turn around and say how he doesn't support the violence or anything, but that man had his mouth shut, and I had a whole video on it back in September, beginning of September, when I did the video, and you might want to look for it. That's the first time he actually came out against the violence. And I'll say this again. The Capitol riot, I really wouldn't have participated in. But this notion that it's not the American way, I'm hard-pressed to remember a time or a long span of time, and I'll define long as in decades, where this country wasn't at war. Violence is the one thing this country does and does well. Okay? This country was founded on insurrection and violence and rebellion. All the protests for everything, whether it was civil rights, had violence. Right? Nothing changes until the pain. The problem I have with this is the 5 deaths at the Capitol, as bad as they are, and they are bad, doesn't compare to the summer and spring of violence, okay? And the damage to the Capitol does not compare to the damage done to people's livelihoods, homes, businesses, everything they've lost in all these cities. Okay, about the Chaz, where people were getting raped and stuff like that. It does not compare. I don't care what you want to say, and that is a public building. And I will say this again, I do not agree with what happened, but I can at least say that these protesters went to the source of the problem, unlike the protests in the summer. If those people wanted to go to police stations, city hall, wherever, protest there, rage against the machine there, I would have supported it. But when you turn around and burning down your own goddamn community and killing people in your community, that's a problem. At least these people went to the source. I'm not saying it makes it right, but it makes it more understandable. And you cannot go through a time that we're going through and say that it's okay for one side to commit violence, but not the other. That whole building is owned by the people, not the people who reside in it. They're temporary tenants. It's owned by the people. And we need to start acting like this. Yes, there needs to be a shared sense of unity. There needs to be common goals. But the problem here is not more legislation. The problem is we need more freedoms. People need to be accountable for their own actions and stop making the government define and dictate what they're going to do in life. You got to stop asking for others to do something for other people and make laws that shouldn't be there in the first place. He's going to, like Biden, I'm going to honor the Constitution. In 5 decades, unless it serves his agenda, he's never honored the Constitution. Because when you create laws that go against the Constitution, you're not honoring the Constitution, period. It's a power grab. So I'm going to end with this. I recently done a video on secession. This country needs a divorce. States need to divorce. The state I live in Texas, could actually support itself. Right? It could support itself. It has its own military, its own militia. It has a National Guard. It has whatever. It has its economy, and it would be ranked actually number 9 in the world if it left. If you can't live with each other, if you're not going to change and compromise logically, then we shouldn't live with each other. And people need to start accepting that. I said it in the last video, and I'll say it again, this is no longer the country I grew up in. This is no longer the beliefs I was instilled. And you know what? It just needs to happen. And I think that's the road that we're heading down. This election cycle just showed us that how divided we are, and there is no coming back. And I've said it before, the only way to come back from this is you need a common enemy. So who's the common enemy? Who are we going to war with next? Because that's the only way out of this, is that we have to fear someone, that we have to trust each other, and we have to fear someone else. And if you listen to the Democrats, it's Russia. Well, Russia ranks what, number 13th in world GDP. Italy beats Russia. I've said that before. I think the problem here is we're not really looking at this with open eyes. We're voting for politicians and we're not doing our research on these politicians. And they all just need to go. Trump had the right thing with drain the swamp. The problem is he just didn't drain the swamp. The problem with Trump was he was actually a jerk, right? You know what I mean? A jerk to work for. That's why he had no loyalty within his own, ecosystem when he was leaving. And that's it. And you're not going to change it. So it's like divorce or a civil war. Not a racial war, but a civil war of ideology. Do you want bigger government telling you what you can and cannot do, how you're going to live your life, what you can have and what you can't have, because we're heading towards the socialistic ways? Or should we go back to our roots and abide by the Constitution? Right? Abide by the Constitution. Make things freer. If you want people to be free and ideas to be equal, you need to make things free, not legislate it. You can't legislate love. You can't tell me by a law that I'm going to love you or make you love me. People need to stop and think. This is not an end. There was 74 million voters, but I'm sure that's not the total amount of people. And the way this is going, we're in a world of hurt. And you can blame a virus, you can blame anything you want, but at the end of the day, it's really comes down to being able to love and tolerate each other. And there are some things that even, I got to admit, that even I won't budge on. And it doesn't make me a bad person. And there's things you won't budge on. It doesn't make you a bad person. But it doesn't mean we have to live in the same house together. Because there are probably things we do agree on. But there are probably some defining factors we don't. And we need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with that. Everything will be fine if we can just all agree to that. And stay out of each other's way. Make things free. You can do what you want and I can do what I want. The government should only be there for certain things. Your state governments, your local governments are best suited to handle your needs because it's your community, it's your region, it's your cultural region. It's what you do. The way things done in Texas are not going to be the same ways things are done in Montana. And you cannot expect laws in Montana to be able to regulate things done in Texas. If you think that's the case, you're a special kind of stupid. Not special. Special kind of stupid. So just think about it for a second. Just take a step, breathe. Everyone needs to breathe. And we need to move forward one way or the other. So thank you for listening. That's my take on this. And we'll go from there. I'll talk to you later.